inside. We all belong, side by side. Yeah, we've grown strong.
Amplify, this is the anthem to our song. Don't hide, we've got the pride. Just look how far we've come along.
We're out here making heads turn, and together we can change the world. We are the FFA. Actions speak louder than words. Got to put in that work. We're out here making heads turn, and together we can change the world. We are the FFA. Actions speak louder than words. Got to put in that work. We're out here making heads turn, and together we can change the world. We are the FFA.
The convention will come to order. We are now holding the 91st State Convention of the Pennsylvania FFA Association. Mr. Vice President, are all officers at their stations?
I shall call the roll of officers, determine if they are at their stations, and report back to you, Madam President. The Sentinel.
Stationed by the door.
Your duties there?
Through this door pass many friends of the FFA. It is my duty to see that the door is open to our friends at all times and that they are welcome. I care for the meeting room and paraphernalia. I strive to keep the room comfortable and assist the president in maintaining order.
The Reporter.
The reporter is stationed by the flag.
Why by the flag?
As the flag covers the United States of America, so I strive to inform the people in order that every man, woman, and child may know that the FFA is a national organization, which reaches from the state of Alaska to the Virgin Islands and from the state of Maine to Hawaii.
The Treasurer.
Stationed by the emblem of Washington.
Your duties there?
I keep a record of receipts and disbursements, just as Washington had kept his farm accounts, carefully and accurately. I encourage thrift among the members and strive to build up our financial standings through savings and investments. George Washington was better able to serve his country because he was financially independent.
The Secretary.
Stationed by the ear of corn.
Your duties there?
I keep an accurate record of all meetings and correspond with other secretaries, wherever corn is grown and FFA members meet.
The Chaplain.
Stationed by the keystone.
Your duties there?
The symbol of my office is the keystone. The keystone is crucial to holding everything together, just as I am essential to influencing the lives of members by providing spiritual guidance to those who seek direction.
The Advisor.
Here, by the owl.
Why by the owl?
The owl is a time-honored emblem of knowledge and wisdom. Being older than the rest of you, I'm asked to advise you from time to time as the need arises. I hope that my advice will always be based on true knowledge and ripened with wisdom. Mr. Vice President, why do you keep a plow at your station?
The plow is a symbol of labor and tillage of the soil. Without labor, neither knowledge nor wisdom can accomplish much. My duties require me to assist at all times in directing the work of our organization. I preside over meetings in the absence of our president, whose place is beneath the rising sun.
Why is the president so stationed?
The rising sun is a token of a new era in agriculture. If we will follow the leadership of our president, we shall be led out of the darkness of selfishness and into the glorious sunlight of brotherhood and cooperation. Madam President, for the final time, all officers are at their stations.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. The Secretary will call the roll of members.
I am pleased to announce that there are nearly 13,000 FFA members here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Thank you. The chaplain will lead us in an opening reflection.
May we assume an attitude of reflection in which we are each most comfortable. We are thankful to be here to celebrate this assembly of the FFA. We hope to create lasting connections and impressions on those around us, as we are all connected through the future of agriculture. Thank you.
May we accomplish our purposes. I now declare this the 91st State Convention of the Pennsylvania FFA Association, duly opened for the transaction of business or attention to any matters which may properly be presented.
Actions speak louder than words. Got to put in that work. Earning to do, doing to learn, earning to live, living to serve, leaving a mark, breaking the mold. Actions speak louder than words. Got to put in that work. We're out here making heads turn, and together we can change the world. We are the FFA.
Hey there, Pennsylvania FFA! Joining us today is a very special guest to help us kick off our week full of festivities. Giving her a keynote from the great state of Montana is your National Central Region Vice President, Miss Mamie Hertel.
Speak louder than words, and together we can change the world. We are the FFA.
If you're anything like me, you've Googled a thing or two in your day. Maybe even when you first joined FFA, you Googled things like, why are there so many acronyms to memorize? What is a tallywhacker? And why is everyone dressed like their flight attendants? Well, when I first joined FFA in 7th grade, I too Googled these things, and everything to do with the FFA creed. Some might say I had an inborn fondness for it. So flash forward 3 years after my first year in FFA. It's the Judith Basin District Creed Speaking Competition. Town population, 247. Height presence, 5,000. This was it, the big moment. My palms were sweaty, my knees were weak, and my arms were heavy. But my mom did not cook spaghetti the night before. This was it. I heard the words, in 5th place, Mamie Hertel. My whole world froze. Everything around me turned to slow motion. Why, might you ask? Well, let's actually rewind back to 7th grade and that first year in FFA. That year, I started creed speaking, and I fell in love with it. In 8th grade, I continued competing in the creed speaking competition, and by my freshman year, I was obsessed. I was saying it when I went to bed, when I was in the shower, every spare moment I had. Its importance in my 15-year-old brain was preceded only by my love for all things related to Taylor Swift. So, needless to say, when that freshman year rolled around and my last chance to go to state in creed speaking, I felt more than prepared. When I walked into the room with the judges, I felt confident. And when I left the room, I felt confident. I thought I had given a great presentation. And as I waited around for the award ceremony, I felt myself get anxious. Finally, the award ceremony arrived, and I was sitting in the bleachers listening to results one by one for different competitions. 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st. Finally, that moment arrived again. I heard those words, in 5th place, Mamie Hertel. Here's why my world froze, and not in excitement. Those words signified the end of an era. If you've ever heard the song, Look What You Made Me Do by Taylor Swift, basically in this moment, the old Mamie died. It was gone. My opportunity to go to the state competition was no longer gonna happen. In Montana, only the top 2 individuals get to go on from the district level to compete at state. Now, I'm not great at math, but 5th place is not in the top 2. So basically, my dreams of competing at the state level had just been wiped away in the small gym of the middle of nowhere, Montana. I was sad. I thought there was no point in continuing in FFA. I didn't see a future in FFA for me, which is pretty ironic if you think about it, because if we know the creed, it starts with "I believe" over and over and over. So basically, I had just spent the past 3 years of my life fixating on the words "I believe," and here I was, after one loss, after one opportunity gone, and all of that belief was just seemingly chucked out the window. It was gone faster than my meal when I sit down at a Chick-fil-A. Thinking about 5th place, it was pretty much like that little green frog man who you see in the memes, and he's got the tear dripping down his face. Yeah, I was SAD, sad, utterly devastated, beside myself. I couldn't believe that my years of creed speaking were over. I got on the bus and sat by myself in the front. And as I was having all these thoughts about how I didn't think there was a point in me being in FFA anymore, another chapter member came and sat down by me. He started asking me about basketball, life, and a whole bunch of other stuff. I was pretty sad still, so I wasn't really up to talking, and eventually he looked at me and said, "You know, Mamie, there's more for you to do in FFA than creed speaking." And before I had the chance to say, "Excuse me, what?" he started listing off different leadership opportunities, the extemporaneous speaking competition, and so much more. I stopped and I thought about it. Maybe he was right. Maybe there was more for me to do in FFA than creed speaking. That day, because of CJ's words, I decided to continue in FFA. And continuing in FFA allowed me to experience more and do more. What is it in your life that you need to do more in? For me, it was trying that extemporaneous speaking competition and continuing to go through with my years in FFA. What is it for you that you need to do more in? I can sit here and tell you about how you need to join a new club or make a new friend or do something, but at the end of the day, it is you that has to make a conscious and intentional choice to do more. So, what is it? What do you need to do more in? Right now, we are all sitting at home thinking that this is just a time to get through, but this is a time to do more. And that thing that you're thinking about right now, put it into action. Choose to do more today. Don't let the chance to do more slip by. Listen to CJ's words that he told me, because I'm here to tell you those words today. Do more today. Now, sometimes when we do more, it allows us to see more. It allows us to experience more and learn new perspectives. Let's think about these next few questions. What do you think of when you hear the word school? What do you think of when you hear the letters FFA? What do you think of when you hear the word vegan? I'm about to tell you about a day when I got to give new meaning to these words, which I thought I knew pretty well. It was my first day of college calculus, and I sat down in my chair, ready to learn all about the chain rule, derivatives, and a whole bunch of other stuff that I knew probably would not be applicable later on in life. But that's beside the point here. As I settled in, I grabbed my laptop out of my backpack and opened it up. At the time, the background picture was a picture of my FFA teammates and I in official dress. When I did this, the girl next to me turned from silent acquaintance to outraged interrogator. She started to yell, "You're an FFA? Do you kill animals?" And before I even had a chance to realize where this girl had known I was an FFA even, I saw her staring wide-eyed and concerned at my computer screen. It was clear to me that this girl had some thoughts and ideas about what FFA was. If you've ever seen in the cartoons where the angel and the devil are sitting on a character's shoulders, you can know that I was basically having one of those moments right here and there. Basically, I had the devil on this shoulder telling me to get mad, yell at her, defend your organization, just tell her she's wrong. And then on the other side, I had the angel saying things like, be kind, be nice, explain things to her politely. And I'm gonna be honest with you, it was an internal battle not to fight for the honor of FFA right then and there, Call of Duty style. But I didn't. Instead, I chose to ask. Yep, ask. I chose to ask a question. Not yell, not tell, not lecture, just ask. I chose to ask this girl, whose name was Jade, why her first thought of FFA was one with killing animals. She began to tell me about a time the previous semester when a girl who was in FFA had ridiculed her for being vegan. By the story she told, it was obvious that this girl had really put her down, and it led to Jade having a negative outlook on what this organization does. After hearing this story, I got to tell Jade about all the amazing things that we have in FFA, like the leadership opportunities, the competitions, and how FFA had changed my life in several ways. But then I got to learn from Jade. She began to tell me about why she had chosen a vegan lifestyle and how convicted she was with her beliefs that went along with it. For the rest of the semester, Jade and I were partners for every single group project. We studied for tests together, and I can't count the number of times we helped each other out with homework. But beyond that, Jade and I became friends. She's one of the kindest, most generous, most sweet people I have ever met in my entire life. But looking back on that first day of calculus, things could have gone down a very different path. I could have gotten mad and defensive when Jade asked if I killed animals. But instead, I chose to see more into Jade's world and her beliefs. How often do we see a person get so mad and defensive about something that it only makes the situation worse? Or what about the person that assumes things about someone else before they really even get to know who they are? We all think the way that we do for a reason. If we just take the time to get to know where someone else is coming from and recognize that all of us have had words, experiences, people, moments that have shaped us into who we are and what we believe, wow, what a difference it would make. Right now, we have the opportunity to see more. We live in a world where it is so polarized and we think it's this way or no way. But to be honest, we have something to learn from every single person we encounter. We have all lived different lives. But what a cool opportunity it is to learn from other people. Right now, realize that we all have something to learn from someone else. See more in those around you. And when you allow yourself to see more in others, it will allow yourself to see more in you. Now, this makes me think about a time in my life when I failed to see more. It was my sophomore year of high school, and I was smack dab in the middle of my high school career. I was lacking motivation, and to be honest, I was in a slump. That July, I found myself on a plane to our nation's capital to spend a week with 300 other students, and you're probably already thinking it. This girl was headed to Washington Leadership Conference, and you'd be right. I should have been pumped about the opportunity to go to WLC, but to be honest, I wasn't. It was sort of like the Grinch when he gets in and he's all ready to go into Whoville and looks in the mirror and he's like, ooh, that's it, I'm not going. Yeah, basically, that was it, I wasn't going. But I knew that a lot of planning had gone into this. And also, my advisor told me that my registration was non-refundable, so there really wasn't a choice to be had. One of the very first activities that we did at WLC was sit down and write about all the baggage in our lives. Anything that was making us mad, sad, frustrated, confused, anything. At first, I wrote, well, yeah, I forgive my brother for stealing the remote from me, even after I told them that he owed me $30 if he did. And then we were told that we still had a few minutes to complete the activity, so I decided to write about what I was really feeling. I decided to write about a time a few months prior to heading to WLC when my parents sat me down in my living room to have a chat. I had no idea that the words they were about to tell me would flip my whole 15-year-old world upside down. I remember feeling numb to the words that they spoke and thinking about how everything was about to change. I felt confused, angry, mad, so many different things. They told me that they were going to be getting a divorce. When I heard those words, I felt confused as to why they had seemingly let my brother graduate high school, but not me. Here I was, with 2 years left of high school, and I had to deal with all of this while being the only sibling at home. For months, I was not in a good mindset. I pushed away my friends, my family, and especially my parents. That day at WLC, I wrote it all down. The confusion, the anger, the sadness, all of it. Then we took that piece of paper, crumpled it up, and threw it in the trash. The facilitators told us that there was more to our lives than what we had written down. And in that moment, everything clicked for me. There was more to it all. There was more to my life than my parents' divorce, and more to my life than any challenge I had faced or will face. Maybe for you, you're thinking, divorced parents is not my reality. But think of all the challenges that you have had to overcome in your life to get where you are today. Failed tests, lost friends, canceled graduations. You have overcome so much. This thought of more to it all has turned into my life motto that combines both seeing more and doing more into being more. It's a constant reminder to always know that there's more. Now, I'm not saying there always has to be some great big grand overarching meaning to everything that we do in life, but what I am saying is that you have the opportunity for more. You do not always have a choice in your circumstances, but you almost always have a choice in your reactions. So, choose kindness, choose forgiveness, choose boldness, choose to do more, choose to see more, choose to be more. Just choose more. Thank you.
Thank you, Mamie, for joining us for our state's first ever virtual FFA convention and truly making your mark on all of us. And everyone else, make sure to tune back in this afternoon for the first general session of our virtual convention. See you guys there.